Let me ask you a question that most people never consider. Are you being generous to the bank with your money? Not in the way you think. I mean, are you loaning your hard-earned cash to the bank for free? Every single day, millions of people are walking into banks, logging into apps, proudly depositing their checks like it's the smart thing to do. But I want to challenge that belief today. Because what if I told you that saving money in the bank is actually one of the slowest, most ineffective, and passive ways to build wealth? Not only that, it's one of the biggest traps keeping good people broke. See, there's a financial game being played around you every day, and if you don't know the rules, you're not just losing. You're being used. The banks aren't in the business of safekeeping. They're in the business of multiplication, using your money to create their empire. Let's get something straight. Banks don't store your money in a vault with your name on it. They take that deposit and flip it. They lend it out, they leverage it, they reinvest it, all while paying you interest so low that it should be an insult to your intelligence. You give them thousands, they give you pennies, and yet we celebrate saving like it's a victory. But listen, you were never created to be a passive participant in the wealth equation. You were born with dominion. You were called to steward resources, multiply them, and have them serve you, not the other way around. Too many people pray for financial breakthrough, while unknowingly funding the systems that are enslaving them. That ends today. We're going to talk about how to break free from the bondage of traditional thinking, how to stop acting like a depositor and start thinking like an investor, how to reclaim authority over your money and make it work for you. It's time for you to understand that the bank is not your savior. It's your student. It's learning how to build wealth from your deposits. And now, it's your turn to master the same strategy. This isn't about hating banks. It's about recognizing your value. Your money has power. Your mindset has power. And when you learn how to leverage both, you don't just change your balance sheet, you change your life. So buckle up. Today, we're flipping the script. You're about to discover why saving isn't security, and why the real security lies in financial wisdom, ownership, and multiplying what's already in your hands. You are an investor, not a depositor. That means your money isn't just paper or numbers on a screen. It's potential. It's a tool, a servant, a seed. But like any seed, where you plant it determines the harvest. The sad truth is most people have been trained, conditioned, and even praised for planting their seed in the wrong field. They go to work, earn their paycheck, and without a second thought, deposit their money into the bank, believing they're doing the responsible thing. But what they're really doing is handing over their power to someone else. Let's get something straight. Banks don't grow your money. They grow their money using your money. You think of yourself as someone who's being prudent. You see a savings account with a balance, and it makes you feel safe. But what you don't see is what's happening behind the scenes. That money you just deposited, it didn't sit still. It didn't just rest in your account. It went to work for the bank. They loan it out. They invest it. They flip it, and you get paid pennies in interest while they reap the harvest. You've been sold the idea that saving equals security. But in reality, saving without strategy equals stagnation. The interest you earn is microscopic compared to the value your money produces for the bank. It's like being the farmer who tills the land, plants the crops, waters the field, but lets someone else collect the harvest year after year. That's not stewardship, that's surrender. You need to start thinking like an investor because you already are one, whether you realize it or not. The question isn't if you're investing. The question is who you're investing for. Right now, if you're letting your money sit in a bank while it works for them and not for you, then you're an investor in their success, not your own. And the return you get reflects that. An investor understands that money must be put in motion. An investor knows that every dollar is a soldier in their financial army, and idle soldiers don't win battles. Depositing money and letting it sit is like buying seeds and locking them in a closet, expecting them to grow into a harvest without ever touching soil. It doesn't work. Growth requires intentional placement, strategic watering, and bold faith. It's time to change how you see yourself. Stop playing the role of the careful saver and start stepping into the mindset of a wealth builder. Put your money in places where it multiplies for you. Real estate, business, education, high-yield investments, things that produce, things that return. That's what the bank is doing with your money. So why not you? Banks multiply, you settle. That's the reality most people live in without even realizing it. You walk into a bank, or more likely open an app, and feel a sense of pride as you move your paycheck into a savings account. You feel accomplished, responsible, even wise. But behind that screen, something very different is happening, something that does not benefit you. Because the moment your money lands in that bank, it stops being just your money. It becomes the bank's leverage, the bank's tool for expansion, and the bank's silent engine for wealth creation. Your deposit isn't idle, it's working, but not for you. It's being used to issue loans. It's being invested in financial markets. It's being leveraged, flipped, multiplied. Your money becomes the fuel for mortgages, car loans, credit lines, business capital, all at interest rates that make the bank grow. And what do you get for this partnership? A thank you. A percentage of the profits, a meaningful return. No, you get a fraction of a percent in interest crumbs, leftovers, table scraps. The bank is using your discipline to build its dominance, and you've been told that's just the way it works. You're taught to save, save, save. You're praised for having a nice balance. But no one ever told you the truth. You're settling. You're accepting less than your money is worth. You're handing over control in exchange for comfort. But comfort without power is just disguised captivity. Look around. Why do banks build billion-dollar towers in the middle of every city? Why do they sponsor stadiums and have the biggest buildings on the skyline? Because they are masters at multiplication. They know how to make money move. They know that wealth isn't created by storing, it's created by circulating. And they've convinced you to settle for being a supplier in that system instead of the beneficiary. What makes this even more dangerous is that it feels responsible. You think you're playing it safe by keeping your money there. But safety isn't just about protecting what you have. It's about positioning what you have to grow. The real risk isn't losing money in an investment. The real risk is letting your money sit and rot under the illusion of security. Inflation eats it. Opportunity passes it. The bank flips it, and you settle. It doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to be on the bottom of the financial food chain. The same tools, the same strategies, the same vehicles the banks use, you can use too, but it starts with awareness. It starts with waking up to the fact that you were never meant to be a passive player. You were meant to multiply. Understand the game, because if you don't, you're going to keep losing quietly. And what's worse, you'll think you're playing it safe while you're actually being played. The financial system isn't built on fairness. It's built on strategy. And if you don't know the rules, you're the one being used. Every time you deposit your money in the bank, they turn around and loan it out at 5%, 10%, sometimes even more, depending on the type of loan. Meanwhile, you're sitting there proud of your 0.01% savings account interest, believing you're being rewarded. That's not generosity. That's robbery with a smile. Let's break it down. If you give someone your money, and they flip it for 10 times the return while tossing you a fraction of a penny, that's not a partnership. That's exploitation. But because the system wraps it in professionalism, shiny apps, and polite customer service, you never question it. You trust the process, you assume it's working for your benefit. It's not. It's working on your money, but not for your future. The bank uses your money to make more money. That part isn't hidden. It's public information. They lend out up to 10 times what you deposit through fractional reserve banking. Your money funds mortgages, business loans, credit cards. They charge 8% on a car loan, 18% on a credit card, 5% on a mortgage, and they pocket the difference. They've mastered the system, and you're not even in the game. You're on the bench, cheering for a team that doesn't let you play. Now, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. This isn't just about numbers, it's about power. When someone takes your resources, uses them to multiply their own wealth, and then convinces you they're helping you, that's manipulation. That's modern-day economic slavery, and you've got to wake up to it. The wealthy don't play this game the same way. They don't let their money sit. They don't wait for the bank to give them permission to grow. They understand velocity. They understand leverage. They use their money to build income-producing assets, to create multiple streams, to multiply without the middleman. And you can do the same. But first, you've got to stop thinking the bank is your financial partner. It's a business, and like every business, its goal is profit. Now that you know the truth, you can't keep playing blind. Understand the game. Understand where your money is going, who it's working for, and how little it's doing for you. You are not a fool, but you've been fooled, and it's time to take your power back. Your money should serve your vision. Your dollars should be deployed with your purpose in mind. No more silent theft masked as safety. No more illusion of progress. Understand the game so you can start winning on your terms. Cash flow is king. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's the core principle of real wealth. The rich don't stack their money in banks like a trophy on a shelf. They don't get excited over a growing savings account that earns less interest than inflation eats in a year. Wealthy people understand something the average person doesn't. It's not how much money you save, it's how much money you make move. It's how often your money returns back to you, multiplied, and how consistently it keeps flowing. You see, banks reward inactivity with low interest. But wealth rewards activity, movement, and intention. The people who build true financial freedom don't rely on bank savings, they rely on cash, producing assets. They put their money into things that pay them back, real estate that generates monthly rental income, businesses that produce consistent profits, investments that yield dividends or royalties. In their world, money isn't something to be hoarded. It's something to be employed. It works 24/7, it doesn't sleep, and every dollar is expected to return with friends. This is where the game changes. The middle class saves money for emergencies. The poor often never get the chance to save at all. But the wealthy, they build cash flow systems. They position themselves to get paid again and again without having to constantly exchange their time. Because they understand that freedom isn't found in how much money you have. It's in how much money comes in without you lifting a finger. Savings are static. They sit still. They feel safe, but they do nothing. Cash flow is dynamic. It's alive. It keeps growing and giving. It buys time. It creates options. It opens doors. That's why wealthy people are obsessed with multiplying sources of cash flow. They don't just think about the next check. They think about how many checks they can set in motion without their daily effort. Think about it. If you save $10,000 in the bank, you might make $10 over a year in interest. That's not growth. That's stagnation disguised as stability. But if you invest that same $10,000 into something that produces even $300 per month, now you've got $600 a year coming back to you. That's movement. That's power. That's how wealth gets built, by making your money earn for you. So stop glorifying savings and start prioritizing flow. Cash flow is the heartbeat of financial strength. It's what separates those who work for money from those who have money working for them. If you want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, if you want to break the cycle of financial anxiety, you have to learn what the wealthy already live by. Ownership of assets that pay you consistently. Shift your money mindset, because until you do, you'll keep working harder than your money ever will. Most people have been conditioned to believe that storing money is the same as securing their future. They were taught that saving equals safety, that the right thing to do is to put money away in a bank, lock it up, and wait. But the truth is, storing money isn't the same as building wealth. In fact, when your money is sitting still, it's not safe. It's stagnant. It's losing value. It's falling behind. And worst of all, it's making someone else rich while doing absolutely nothing for you. The traditional financial advice most people receive is built around fear. Fear of loss, fear of risk, fear of the unknown. So, instead of learning to make their money move, people cling to the idea of keeping it safe. But safety without growth is just slow decay. And while your money is sitting in a bank account, collecting dust and earning almost nothing, that same money is being loaned out, reinvested, and multiplied by the very institution you trusted to keep it safe. Your money is not just a resource, it's a worker. It has potential, it has power, but that power only activates when you deploy it. You wouldn't hire someone and pay them to sit in a chair doing nothing all day. So why are you letting your dollars sit in a bank, collecting pennies, while someone else puts them to work and pockets the profits? That's not smart stewardship, that's financial surrender. Wealthy people don't think of money as something to store. They think of it as something to invest, something to grow, something to multiply. They understand that every dollar is a seed. If you plant it wisely, it can become a tree that feeds you for life. If you bury it in a vault or a savings account that barely keeps up with inflation, you've wasted the harvest. The mindset shift is simple but powerful. Your money should be working for you, not the bank, not the government, not the credit card companies. That means putting it in places where it grows. That means acquiring assets, building cash flow, investing in vehicles that produce real returns. It means taking control of your finances instead of handing it over in exchange for false peace of mind. You weren't created to live in financial fear. You were meant to live in financial freedom. But freedom doesn't come from saving alone. It comes from stewardship with strategy. You have to see yourself not just as a saver, but as a builder, a multiplier, a leader over your resources. So stop storing and start deploying. Stop thinking like a depositor and start thinking like an investor. Shift your mindset and you shift your outcome. Because once your money starts working for you, everything in your life begins to change. Faith and wisdom in finance are not about fear, caution, or the endless pursuit of security. They are about purpose, intention, and multiplication. Too many people have confused stewardship with hoarding. They believe that managing money wisely means locking it away, refusing to touch it, and playing not to lose. But true stewardship, the kind that's rooted in faith and wisdom, isn't about keeping, it's about growing. It's about recognizing that what you've been given is not just for you to store, but for you to expand. You've been entrusted with wealth, whether it's a little or a lot. But trust requires action. Faith demands motion. If you believe that what's in your hand is valuable, then you must be bold enough to plant it, to risk it, to multiply it. That's not reckless, that's responsible. Because what you fail to multiply, you fail to steward. Playing small doesn't honor the gift. Hiding resources doesn't protect you. It prevents you from growing. Many people have faith for provision, but no wisdom for production. They pray for overflow, but live with a scarcity mindset. They expect a harvest, but never release the seed. You can't have it both ways. Faith without action is dead, and money without purpose is waste. When you see money through the lens of stewardship, everything shifts. You realize it's not just for bills and budgets. It's a tool for building. It's a resource for reaching. It's fuel for vision. Multiplication isn't just a financial strategy. It's a spiritual principle. What's placed in your hands is meant to be increased. And increase doesn't happen through hoarding. It happens through movement, through bold decisions, through investments that align with your vision and values. You were never meant to simply manage money. You were meant to master it. And mastery means taking what you have and making it do more. You don't need permission to grow your money. You've already been empowered. You don't need the bank's validation or the system's approval. You need wisdom, you need courage, you need the confidence to step out in faith, knowing that playing it safe with what you've been given is the fastest way to lose what you could have become. This is your moment to shift, to stop burying what was meant to bloom, to stop waiting for the perfect opportunity and start building with what's already in your hands. Wealth isn't just about having more. It's about doing more with what you already have. It's about using your resources to reflect your purpose. Let's bring this home. If there's one thing you walk away with today, let it be this. Your money is not just currency, it's capacity. It holds the power to change your life, create freedom, and build a legacy. But that only happens when you stop playing the game the world has taught you to play and start mastering the one you were meant to dominate. No more loaning your money to the bank for free. No more handing over your power, your discipline, and your future to a system that uses your resources to build its empire while offering you breadcrumbs in return. The bank is not your safety net. It is not your investment strategy. It is not your financial partner. It is a business. And in that business, you are the supplier, not the shareholder. It's time to stop settling for less and start stepping into what's possible. You are an investor, not a depositor. Every dollar you own is a seed, and the harvest it brings back depends entirely on where you plant it. The wealthy understand this. That's why they don't park their money. They put it to work. They seek cash flow. They acquire assets. They create systems that produce income even when they sleep. They understand that true financial security is found not in saving, but in circulating. Not in hoarding, but in harvesting. Banks multiply, you settle, but not anymore. You now understand the rules. The bank loans out your money at 10x the rate it pays you. That's not generosity, that's exploitation. And now that your eyes are open, you cannot unknow this. It's your responsibility to act, to shift your strategy, to reclaim your authority over your money. Cash flow is king. And if you're not building cash flow, you're building captivity. The system wants you in the cycle, working, saving, spending, repeating. But freedom comes when your money does the working. When the flow of income is constant, consistent, and controlled by you, that's when you stop surviving and start thriving. But to get there, you must shift your money mindset. You have to stop seeing money as something to protect and start seeing it as something to position. Your money must serve your vision. It must have a purpose. And if your money isn't working harder than you are, then it's time to make a change. Above all, this is about stewardship. It's not just about having more. It's about doing more with what you've been given. It's not about greed. It's about growth. You've been entrusted with resources, opportunities, and insight. Now multiply it. Let your money serve your mission, not the bank's. This is your moment, not next year. Not after you read a dozen more books. Now, start where you are. Take control. Stop playing small. Stop giving your money away for free. Put it to work. Build the life, the business, the legacy you were born to lead. Because when you understand the truth and apply it, that's when everything changes.